Here with Coach Michael Bradley of Mayfield High School. First practice of August, and after a down week, how was the tempo today? Was it somewhat what you expected? The boys coming off a down week, was the chemistry a bit down? I mean, was the tempo there? How did the boys adjust kind of to that down week?
Well, I think it was a good day. Obviously, you need to knock off some of the rust on Monday after you haven't been practicing for a week. But a lot of these guys came out here last week on their own, and they kept in their workouts. They have goals and dreams and aspirations of having a great season, and those, the seniors and the starters are going to play on the varsity next year. I believe that they worked out hard last week, and they're going to be ready to go on Monday.
How much motivation has this group had over the offseason, being that you guys did lose in the state title game to La Cueva? I mean, have you seen a lot of motivation kind of carry over through the summertime?
That is motivation, and it's something you remind them about. And that's a whole different team than we had last year, and that was a whole different team last year that we had. And this is a brand new group of kids. We only got about 4 starters returning from last year. The mindset's different. Obviously, I think it's a hungry group, and that's the kind of group that we really like to coach. And it's a successful group. They've had success last year, and they've had success on the JV and all the way up through. And so I think what the mind believes, the body can achieve. That's an old saying, but it's one of the best out there.
Is there a particular area of strength on this year's team? Is it the defensive line? Is it the running backs, the skill positions, defensive backs? Is there any particular position of strength moving forward?
I think we're strong in all the areas right now. I would say the depth is a concern. That we don't have a lot of guys going both ways, and that's one thing that we're trying to take care of is to bring up some of these younger guys and get some of these seniors that are not starters right now to be able to play. I think that's a key ingredient, is that you have depth, and we have had a lot of good depth in the last 4 or 5 years, and something that we haven't had previously. We have over 100 guys on the football team. We still have pretty much the same amount of players that we've always had. But you got to get kids to step up, and you got to give them an opportunity. And obviously, there's clear-cut starters out there. We've got people on our team. Brandon Betancourt, yeah, sure, he could play both ways easily and do very well out. Matt Ramondo, Brock Baca, a lot of these guys. But it wears on you during the season, and come playoff time, you want to have as much experience out there as you possibly can. And I think one of the reasons why we're going to be successful this year is because a lot of the guys that we have as seniors, they didn't start last year, but they did see a lot of playing time. And I think that's key, is that you work them in and you get them ready, because it's a whole different game from JV to varsity.
If we could talk about some key returners. Obviously, we know the players that are somewhat headlining the team. We know Ramondo, we know Betancourt, we know Brock Baca. If you could talk about some other players that are going to emerge and could potentially be impact players this season.
Potential impact, potential is just another name for worthless ass. You never know what the heck somebody's going to do. We've got some guys that have outstanding character and works their tails off, and they're going to support those people, and that's what makes up a team. When we coached the All-Star game this week, we had our kids that were very good athletes, very good talent people, and then we had some kids from Artesia and Carlsbad. They may not have been the best athletes in the world, but they were great character guys. They were great support team guys, and they fit in real nice with our system, and they had a lot of fun, and that's what we've got to be able to do with our guys. We got to get them to step up to the point and support the guys that can make the plays and get the job done, and I think we have those type of people. And speaking about those type of people, you've got your Andy Zopian. He's not real flashy or anything like that, but the darn guy gets the job done. He's gained some weight this year, gained some strength. I think he's going to have an awful good year. Another guy, Akina Costa, on the line. He's playing guard for us, and he's like Andy. He's a great student. He's a great student of the football game. He's going to be a very good support player. Other than that, you got Jesus Olivas. He played on our JV last year. He's only about 5'9", about 250 pounds, strong as an ox. He's going to be able to really help us out on that defensive line. And Juan Goudet, he's going to play tight end for us and defensive end. He's had an outstanding year. He's a very good support guy, but he's got some talent to do certain things on the field. Joseph Quigg, little guy. He's probably about 5'7", 160 pounds. He kind of reminds me of an Evan Copeland because he's one of the strongest guys on the football team, and he runs a 4.5, and he's going to play defensive end for us and fullback. I mean, you look at him, you say, well, this guy, he's not a varsity football player, but he's a Mayfield varsity football player, and I think he's going to do well. Braxton Smith. You know about Braxton, and he played quite a bit last year. We're getting him ready for this year, and I think he could be an impact player on both offense and defense. Lucas Ogas, we had his brother here about 3 or 4 years ago, and he's going to play corner and slot receiver for us. Very talented young man, very intelligent young man. Kind of reminds me a lot of Chris Hutchinson that played about 5 years ago that we didn't even expect to play at all, and he ended up starting both ways for us and helped us win the state championship against Clovis. And these are the type of kids that win for you right there. They're team players. They're not the most talented young men in the world, but we've got some talent on this team, and if we can come together, I think we can go pretty far.
Talking about 5A as a whole, I think this year it's obviously going to be real competitive. You got new districts in 1-5A, 2-5A, and the kind of wild card district with 5-5A, Valley, Rio Grande, all those schools kind of in one district. How do you see 5A this year? I mean, obviously, you got to look at the usual suspects, but kind of looking at your schedule, what do you kind of see in the 5A picture this year?
Well, just starting from last year, I believe that that there's some teams that are kind of catching up with the top 5 or 6 teams in the state of New Mexico, and you're going to see some teams surprise. Sandia, they came on late last year. Manzano's always continually to see improvement, and there's going to be some dark horses that pop up in there. But I think it's going to be highly competitive this year, just like it was last year, and you're going to see some teams knock off some teams this year. I really. You've got. I believe that Cruces obviously is going to be tough. I think that La Cueva, Manzano. I don't know much about Volcano Vista and Cleveland or any of those teams. Rio Rancho is I think is continually going to be competitive, but it's a little bit too early to tell. But I do think that there's a lot of talent out there this year. I really do. There may be more than there was last year. And so I'm really pumped up and excited about this year.